Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Linda from lindaspapercraft.co.uk and we are on the bonus week of May 2025's Coffee and Card. So it's card 5 because there are 5 Thursdays in May this year. I've been lugging about die cutting machines because I need my big one near me so I can show you how I did the front of this card. Now I'm sure other people have done it before. I don't remember ever seeing it, and it was a bit of a light bulb moment I had yesterday when I was designing this card. And what I've actually done is cut this piece of designer series paper out of this piece and then flipped over for that to become the background. So this is all just one piece of designer series paper. You have to call me the frugal crafter, although I suspect somebody's already called that. I shall show you how. So in this one we're using dies 2 and die 4. So this time I put the thank you on the whole die instead of just the little bit, instead of trimming it. You can put it on the whole one or trim it, it's up to you. Or make it smaller like we did last week. So what you have in your kit is another early espresso, card base 21 by 14.85 scored at 10.5. All the measurements will be down below. And then I've cut your piece of card to go inside, and that's 14.4 by 10. Then you've got your envelope, and then you've 2 pieces of white that need die cutting with die number 2 and die number 4. And we're going to be stamping on both of those. And then you need this piece of designer series paper with the sort of woven texture on one side and the raffia on the other, and I'm going to show you how I did it. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut it to 14.4 by 10. So I'm actually going to cut the 10 first. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. So 10, that gives you a strip just over 2 inches wide to use on another card, either way. And then that is the thing. You do need to make sure you've got your lines this way when you're cutting. Okay, so check those. If you want to cut it this way on, you can, because I think that it's supposed to go that way. I suppose it could go that way. I don't think it's the end of the world if it's going that way. And then 14.4. Okay, so now we want the detail of the rectangle that we're cutting out to be on the front, so we have to cut it this way. But if you want the rectangle to be on this side when you're finished, you actually have to cut it the opposite side. Okay, so if I do it this way, it will end up there. If I do it that way, it will actually end up this side, which, to be fair, again, nothing's ever wrong, it's just different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it out from this side because I want it the same as the card I've already done. It's made it week 5. I'm still on the same piece of die tape. Obviously this needs my big machine, so I'm going to get that out. Oh, these are heavy. Right. So okay, let's get that through. So it has moved a little bit, so I'm just lining it up again, and I'm putting it on here, and I'm putting it at an angle because you don't want, just checking it's all in, yeah it is, you don't want these edges to hit the rollers in your machine dead on, flat on, largely because it makes a load of noise, but also because it can jump. See, nice and smoothly through. Okay, pop this out of the way. Back in the corner. We're done. Okay, so I'll cut it out of this top corner here. And what I'll be doing, so that's the one I want because that's the front of the die cut, and because there's no edges, so it's just the cutting line and then there's no further pattern, we can do this, and then that just sits in there. Okay, so we can get this card out of one piece of 6 by 6 instead of 2. I will say this paper is actually 12 by 12. I have just cut you 6 by 6 pieces. So there we go. Forgotten to put the inside on this one. Right, where's all my stuff? Here it is. And a note to everyone, I also forgot to put the inside on last week's because it's here. Right, let's get all this. So now we need to do some stamping. So actually I'm going to make, while I've got the pieces here, I'm just going to do the front of the card. Okay, so I have a piece of early espresso here, as I said, as my card base. And the first thing I'm going to do is stick this piece on. So I'm going to go, and as I say, you need to put the glue on the side that you don't want showing, or that you do want showing on your die cut. Not sure that made sense. Right, so thin line of glue on your border there, and then round the outside, and then when I've got holes in paper like this, I do tend to put an extra little line of glue along the hole. So gently put this in place with your rectangle in the top corner there. Okay, so there we go. The reason I thought about this is my friend Liz, who does classes in Lim, was doing eclipse cards, and I thought you could actually make an eclipse card and actually lift that up, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to put it straight down. So now we're gluing the other side, popping that in. Yeah, there we go. So it's an inlay die technique. It's not a new technique, it's just I've never used it as a background before, or seen it used as a background before, I don't think so. It's quite a light bulb moment. How cool is that? There we go. Right, so to stamp. So I'm using Mossy Meadow again, and this time I'm using the small frond. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink it up and stamp it in one corner, and then ink it up again and stamp it in the other. Watch your edges. It is just well worth checking because there's nothing more annoying than finding a halo on your stamping. Right, so tallest leaf into that corner. There we go. Ink it again, turn it upside down. Oh, done it again. I do try and put my stamps straight down into the ink pad, but occasionally, ooh, even the best of us catch. Not that I'm the best by any stretch. Right, okay, and then that's just going into the top. So it'll look a bit of a confused mess in the middle, but that's fine because we're going to cut it up. Cut it up, cover it up. There we go. Actually, that looks better than my other one did. Less of a confused mess. And then I'm just going to take the thank you and stamp that in the middle of my ready cut piece. Yep, that's fine. It's more in the middle than I thought it was. That's good. Right, and then we're just going to assemble. Let's get our original. So I'll pop this inside, seeing as I forgot to do it last week. So you've a few bits of designer series papers left that you could make some cards. It'd be lovely to see what you've done. I do have a page on Facebook, Linda's Papercraft, if you want to pop them on, or if you send me a request to go on Linda's Papercrafters, which is a private group that I run for people who don't want it to go on the whole of Facebook. But you have to be a member to post on there. Right. So this bit's just going down flat and sort of symmetrical to the first one. So however big this border is, you want it roughly the same on this side to balance the card. And then I pop this up onto some dimensionals. Let's finish this one off. Right, scissors, 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 right, there we are. So, there. Did I cut that? Nope. Nearly finished on this one. Why not? There we go. They are quite forgiving, these little strips. You probably don't need that much coverage, but I am just using the little bits at the end. Right, and then now I'm just going to pop that in the middle over to one side. So in the middle of the card, really, at the bottom third. Okay, there you are. So card 5 of May's Coffee and Card. So still to decide what I'm doing next time. Although, you know, I did film this quite a while before you see it. Right, okay, so have a lovely week, and I shall see you next week. Bye.